To be here. I believe I do come from a healthcare management and healthcare policy background. I am a CEO of a company that does Medicaid management and healthcare logistics. That has fairly been successful. That has a little bit over 1,000 employees, and that has a little bit over $20 million in revenue. I've been a diaspora leader for many years. I have been, I look at this almost as a calling, because I want the people of Wajir to have an opportunity for radical change. I believe everyone else who's seeking this great office might make changes from a place of incrementalism, even at best, because I believe there was a design flaw from the beginning, and I believe those compounded problems in the second one. I believe when you look at a problem for far too long, you become part of the problem. I believe Wajir needs an outsider, someone who's a true change agent, someone who can bring radical change, and someone who has not been part of the shackles of the day-to-day minutiae of a very bloated government, which Wajir is right now. So I'm the change agent. I believe I'll bring a significant private sector experience. I'm a seasoned executive. I've worked as a CEO. I know how to solve problems. And I want to be given an opportunity for someone who both understands the youth and understands the elderly. Someone who's sitting at a cross-section of both communities, who also understands technology and who has worked globally outside the country. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
So, there's a Somali saying that says, if two people are not telling each other the truth, they are accompanied by dishonesty or lies. There's a lot of truths we're not telling each other. Corruption is not just endemic. It has become part of the culture. We come from a clan and a sub-clan system. There is an embedded, almost subliminal, subconscious level of an expectation of eating, especially if the governor or the senator or the MP is from your sub-clan. So we have a cultural crisis. Anybody who tells you that they will eliminate corruption in a year, anywhere in Kenya, by the way, anywhere in Kenya, is not telling the truth. But there's one thing we can do, which I plan to do. We can really minimize it. What has happened, and I agree with Governor Mukhtar, there's corruption in both administrations. What has happened is that in the first one, there was no public records of charges. There were no charges filed. The fact that there were no charges filed doesn't mean there was no corruption. It means watu hawakushikwa, lakini kulikuwa kunaiba across the board. What we need is to really work on a cultural change. There has to be transparency. If bids are posted publicly, so that every Wajirian knows who applied for these jobs, who applied for these bids, and then you create a matrix of how the contracts were awarded. Then people can see how many relatives of the governor got the contracts. So we're having a systemic crisis. My goal is to have a 5-year plan of at least 2 things we need to do. The governor must have credibility. What do I mean by that? If you're not walking the walk, people will not trust you. If I go to Barazas and start saying, let's not be corrupt, and then my sister has 300 million contract or a billion contract, I will be doing what people say as drinking, drinking wine and preaching water. What we need here is someone who has credibility to show that. They will show accountability. We post all our bids publicly. We have transparency, which I agree the first government did better than the second one. But I will give you something else that's going on right now. Mm-hmm. In our campaigns, you can predict which government will have problems with corruption. Why? Because some of our colleagues here are in bed with contractors. They are already taking millions from individuals who are expecting to be in the next government. So 3 things we need to do. Accountability through a public process. 2, putting the money into infrastructure projects that make sense. Mm-hmm. Not just dams so you can have 10% of 500 million. Things that actually make sense. 3, hire professionally. and reduce nepotism, because it's not only corruption. We have corruption, nepotism, and elitism. These are the three things bothering this country. So I'm going to have transparency, accountability. Thank you very much. But before let me just say quickly something about corruption. Look, there are promises that have been made. I haven't made any direct promise to an individual or even a clan. My promise has been radical change. However, every governor, irrespective of who wins on this table, is going to have to deal with the fact that you have to at least have your government be inclusive. Because subconsciously, as I said, we are a cluster of clans or sub-clans. If I purely give jobs on merit-based assignments, if we just practice meritocracy, people will not see us to be fair. Even if the government worked, people will say Clan X has been left out, Clan Y has been left out. So what I am looking to do is a blended government. Take the best of the people I can get, but still be inclusive of all the clans. Because the problem has been, even in the endemic corruption, some have been left out, right? So we need to be inclusive. Part of the problem in Wajir, especially of minority communities, they've been left out of government. There are some clans that don't even have a janitor, even a cleaner, even a sweeper at the county. So we have to think about including everyone. Now, some of the corruption that had happened in the past, these are huge sums of monies. We're talking about 10 billion, maybe even 3 to 4 billion a year that have been unaccounted for. The difference between decent counties and counties like Wajir that are in shambles is the level of corruption. It's not an absence or a present issue. It's an issue of what percentage of your county is corrupt. So we need to start working on reducing corruption before we can think about eliminating it. We have to reduce it, and that comes from accountability. Quickly, I want to talk to my sister. First, I would love to work on, one of the divisions of my company is the home healthcare division that deals with individuals who are physically and mentally challenged. I discourage the word disability. Nobody is disabled, right? So we have a stigma problem. We're in a society that stigmatizes people. I want to start working on a public awareness campaign, not to see individuals who are either physically challenged or mentally challenged as disabled, because they can be productive persons of society. So I want to work on apprenticeship programs to make them useful. Because when you have a gainful employment, you have self-esteem. You feel good about yourselves. Right now, Somalis, we have this culture of giving people nicknames because of a physical disability or a mental disability. So I'm going to have any buildings that are built by my county will have physical access of wheelchairs so that the person can use the bathroom or the washing rooms with bathrooms. I'm going to make... But this is, I just want to say, one more minute. Apprenticeships, jobs for individuals, and making sure there's healthcare service for individuals who are challenged. Just quickly, I want to say to my colleague, my friend Senator Cabrera, Dr. Cabrera, not to worry too much about these certificates, because to be realistic, we don't live in a modern democracy. We don't live in a country where you just get a billboard, a website, and you hit the road to go get votes. We live in a democracy that's blended with ethnicity. So we have to get votes. So being given a certificate by one community or another is not really corruption. We're not paying them to give them to us. This is just how we harvest votes. And he knows that because his deputies from another community, we just bring votes together. So that's not a really big crisis. Let me move on to these really two important issues. Security is not just national. That is actually somewhat of a myth. The governor has a huge role on security. He has a county security committee. He can work with the county commissioner. If we get a governor who's very proactive, who's an advocate for the people of Wajir, we can actually stop losing lives. Just 2 months, about less than a month ago, we collected 7 bodies in a place called Garciakof. Every 2 months, before that it was El Delo, it was Barmil, it was Wajir South. Every few months, we have Wajirians who lose their lives because of across county movements, either pastoralism. We live in a pastoralist county. The problem here is some of these people have been looking at this problem from the same prism for 30 years. There was no creativity. They're looking at the same ways of doing things. What we need is to start using technology. For instance, I've advocated for drone technology. It's not that expensive to put drones on our borders to track the movements of our pastoralists. Where are they going for pasture? Where are they going for water? Then we can predict which governor to work with. We need to have a strong interpastoralist county governments We know where our problems are. Marsabit, Isiolo, Garissa, Mandera. We know where our problems are. We know where our people are going. And we know why they're going there. Because they don't have water and pasture. So we need to have technology. I'm going to have ear tags for our livestock. I'm going to have drones on the borders. And I'm going to be very active in talking to the other governors from those counties almost on a bi-weekly. Every week, I'd like to have a conference call with the governor of Marsabit. So if my people move there, they are safe. If his people move to me, they are safe. The same thing with Isiolo. Then we need to have an inter-county leadership, community leadership forum that's inclusive of all clans. Because our clans actually have some benefit if they're used for good purposes, which is conflict resolution. Our elders are good. So if elders from Wajir South, our people from West go grazing there, you give them heads up. And you see we have people moving from West to South. Can you please cater for them? Give them water. So that's what we need to do on this issue.
And perhaps we can
climate change. Just
very briefly, because
just
we consume a lot of time on that
briefly.
Okay.
We need to modernize our pastoralism. We can't sustain the way we live, and we need to have a reforestation program for us to get more rainwater.
Ahmed,